Ninth, welcome back to another online session of your English class, and today we are going to cover a very interesting story from our supplementary reader movement, that is chapter 4 in the Kingdom of Fools. As you know, I always introduce my chapter with the writers. So here it is. It is written by A.K. Ramanujan, Attipat Krishnaswamy Ramanujan. He was born on 16 March 1929 and died on 13 July 1993. He was an Indian poet and scholar, and he has written in both the languages, English as well as Kannada. But he was having command over Tamil, Telugu and Sanskrit as well. If I'll talk about this story, this is a Kannada folk tale. Folk tale means a story that passed from generation to generation. It is taken from the book Folk Tales from India, and it is written by A.K. Ramanujan only. Let us first understand about the title of the story. In the Kingdom of Fools means the state where people are not wise, they are not intelligent. And when the kind of people rule the kingdom, then what all had happened? That has been told in the story. So I know now you are curious to read the story. So without any delay, let's start reading the story. So here's a story in the Kingdom of Fools. It is believed that fools are so dangerous that only very wise people can manage them. It is believed, ऐसा माना जाता है कि fools people can be harmful, right? The company of fools can be harmful, and only wise people with their wisdom can handle them, can save themselves from their foolishness. Who are the fools in the story and what happens to them? That we are going to find. In the kingdoms of fools, both the king and the ministers were idiots. Now we know who are the idiots, who are the fools, the king and his advisors. They didn't want to run things like other kings. They don't want to follow the same way as the other kings were following to rule their kingdom. So they decided to change night into day and day into night. They wanted to do something different. So what they have decided? They have decided to interchange the night and day. They thought that whatsoever was done at night time would be done now at daytime, and whatsoever was done at daytime, that would be done in the night. They ordered that everyone should be awake at night. Now people have been ordered, they have passed the order that the people of their kingdom should awake at night. No one would sleep at night. Till their fields, till here means perform their fields for farming, right? So farmers will till their fields during the night time and run their business only after dark, and businessmen will run the business during the night time only and go to bed as soon as the sun came up. और जैसे ही सुबह होगी, everyone will go to the bed. Anyone who disobeyed would be punished with death. Now one more rule was there, that if anyone will not follow this, then he would be sentenced with death punishment, death penalty. The people did as they were told for the fear of death. Now everyone was scared of death, so they followed whatsoever has been told to them. The king and the ministers were delighted at the success of their project. Now the fool king and his advisors were very happy that their project has been, their command has been followed. One day a guru and his disciple arrived in the city. It was a beautiful city. It was broad daylight, but there was no one about. Now one day what had happened? A guru, a saint and his follower arrived in the city, in this kingdom. It was a beautiful city. बहुत सुंदर ये सिटी थी. इट वॉज ब्रॉड डे लाइट, बिल्कुल एक ब्रॉड डे लाइट दिन का समय था, बट देर वॉज नो वन अबाउट, बट नो वन वॉज देयर. एवरी वन वॉज अस्लीप, एवरी वन वॉज स्लीपिंग. नॉट अ माउस स्टीरिंग, स्टीरिंग होता है मूविंग अराउंड. नॉट इवन द एनिमल और स्मॉल इंसेक्ट, they were also not moving, means there was no movement. Everyone was scared of that death penalty. Even the cattle had been taught to sleep by day. तो यहाँ क्या बताया जा रहा है कि even the animals were taught to sleep during the daytime as it has been ordered by the king. The two strangers were amazed by what they saw around them. Now these two strangers, who are the two strangers? Guru and his disciple. They were very surprised to see, wandered around town till evening. शाम तक वो घूमते रहे when suddenly the whole town woke up. और जैसे it start getting dark, सब लोग जाग गए. Went about its nightly business. और जैसा कि किंग ने उन्हें ऑर्डर किया था, everyone started working as it started getting dark. The two men were hungry now that the shops were open. They went to buy some groceries. To their astonishment, they found that everything cost the same, a single dudu. Whether they bought a measure of rice or a bunch of banana, it cost a dudu. So now the Guru and his follower both were feeling hungry, as from the morning only they were roaming in this city and they were not finding anything. Now as it started getting dark and the businessmen started running their business, so now the shops were open and they went to buy some groceries. To their amazement, to their surprise, they found that everything cost the same, means everything was available on the same cost. And what was the cost? A single dudu. Dudu is a word that is used for money in Kannada language. As I have told you, the writer has written in English as well as Kannada. So whether they bought a bag of rice or a bunch of bananas, it cost just a rupee. The Guru and his follower was very delighted. They had never heard of anything like this. They could buy all the food they wanted just for a rupee. So they were very happy. When they had cooked and eaten, लेकिन जब उन्होंने बनाया खाना और खाने बैठे, the Guru realized that this was a kingdom of fools. Now, as everything cost 1 rupee, whether it is a bag of rice or a bunch of banana, who could do it? Only fools could do it. So he realized that this is a kingdom of fools. It wouldn't be a good idea for them to stay here. So he thought that it is not a right place to stay for a longer time. This is no place for us. Let's go, he said to his disciple. तो उसने अपने follower को कहा कि this is not the right place for us. So let's go. Let's leave this place. But the disciple didn't want to leave the place. लेकिन वो नहीं छोड़ना चाहता था. Everything was cheap here because the cost was very less of everything. All he wanted was good and cheap food. Because the disciple was a foodie, he loves to eat. और उसको क्या चाहिए था? उसको सिर्फ अच्छा और सस्ता खाना चाहिए था, which was available in this kingdom. So he was not ready to leave. The Guru said, they are all fools. This won't last very long and you can't tell what they'll do to you next. So the Guru was very foresighted. So he warned his disciple that they all are fools and this is not going to last for long, and you don't know that what will be the next decision. It could be harmful for you as well. But the disciple wouldn't listen to the Guru's wisdom. But the disciple was greedy, so he was not ready to listen to his Guru. He wanted to stay in the kingdom because the food was very cheap. The Guru finally gave up. He gave up and said, do what you want. I am going, and he left the kingdom. The disciple stayed on, but वो follower वहाँ रुक गया. Ate his fill every day. और वो जी भर कर खाना खाता, बनानास, घी, राइस, wheat, because everything was cheap, and grew fat like a street side sacred bull. And he grew fat like a very huge bull. Street side sacred bull here means a bull which is offered food by each and every house because of some religious faith, and it gets huge in size because of that. So one bright day, a thief broke into a rich merchant's house. He had made a hole in the wall and sneaked in. And as he was carrying out his loot, the wall of the old house collapsed on his head and killed him on the spot. Now what had happened? One day, a thief entered into a rich merchant's house, and for entering he had made a hole in the wall. उसने wall में एक hole बनाई and he sneaked in. He get into the house. And as he was carrying out his loot, as he was performing the loot, what had happened? The wall was not strong enough, so it collapsed on his head and the thief was killed on the spot only. His brother ran to the king and complained. Now the thief's brother, as he was killed, so the thief brother ran to the king and he complained, Your Highness, when my brother was pursuing his ancient trade, a wall fell on him and killed him. Now he told that when he was performing his business, what business? The business of cheating the people, right? So a wall fell on him and killed him. The merchant is to blame. Now who is responsible for this? The merchant, definitely the merchant whose house was that. He should have built a good strong wall. Now the brother is demanding that that person should build a strong wall, so it should not collapse on someone and killed him. You must punish the wrongdoer and compensate the family for the injustice. Now he was demanding the king to do the justice, to punish the merchant and compensate the family, the thief's family, for the to give them justice. The king said, justice will be done, as he was fool. So he said, don't worry, justice will be done to you, and whosoever has done the wrong, he has been punished. And at once summoned the owner of the house. Summoned होता है to call, ठीक है? तो उसको बुला लिया गया kingdom में, किसे? Merchant. When the merchant arrived, the king questioned him, what's your name? Such and such, your highness. Were you at home when the dead man burgled your house? Yes, my lord. He broke in and the wall was weak. It fell on him. So when the merchant appeared in the king's kingdom, so the king asked him about his name. He responded that what was his name. He told his name to the king, and then he further asked by the king, was he at home when the thief was burgling his house? For that he replied that yes, he was at his home. When the thief entered in his house, he used a hole in the wall and he entered, and when he was going back, the wall was weak, so it fell on him. The accused pleads guilty. Your wall killed this man's brother. You have murdered a man. We have to punish you. Now the king told the merchant that you are guilty of this murder, as because of the weak wall of your house, this man has been killed, so you have to be punished. Lord, said the helpless merchant, I didn't put up the wall. It's really the fault of the man who built the wall. He didn't build it right. You should punish him. Now the merchant said, my lord, it is not my mistake. Yes, I am the owner of the house, but the wall has not been built by me. It was built by the bricklayer. So it is his guilty that he has not built it properly. So you should punish the bricklayer who has built this wall. Who is that? My lord, this wall was built in my father's time. I know the man. He is an old man now. He lives nearby. तो किंग ने पूछा कि किसने बनाई फिर वॉल, बताओ. He said, my lord, he further added that this was built at his father's time, right? So मुझे पता है. Now the bricklayer is an old man and he lives nearby. The king sent out the messengers to bring in the bricklayer who had built the wall. They brought him tied hand and foot, and immediately the king sent the messengers to bring that bricklayer into his kingdom, और वो उसको लेकर आए. His hands, foot, all were tied when he had been brought up into the kingdom. You there, did you build this man's wall in his father's time? Yes, my lord, I did. Now the king asked him that you are the person who has built this wall? The bricklayer said, yes, it was built by me only. What kind of a wall is this that you built? It has fallen on a man, poor man, and killed him. You have murdered him. We have to punish you by death. Now the king asked him that what kind of wall was that? See, it was so weak that it had fallen on a poor man and it killed him. So you are responsible for this murder. So we have to punish you, and you will be punished with execution, with death. Before the king could order the execution, before he could give the order about the death penalty, the poor bricklayer pleaded. He requested, please listen to me before you give your orders. Ki please, your highness, listen to me before you pass your orders. It's true I built this wall. कि ये तो सच है कि ये वॉल मैंने बनाई, and it was no good, और ये अच्छी भी नहीं बनी, but that was because my mind was not on it. But let me explain why is it so. Because I was not able to concentrate while I was doing this job. I remember very well a dancing girl who was going up and down that street all day with her anklets jingling, and I couldn't keep my eyes or my mind on the wall I was building. You must get that dancing girl. I know where she lives. And he is telling now the reason why he was not able to concentrate on his work, because a dancing girl, he was explaining that I remember that when I was building this wall on that particular day, a dancing, those days when this work was going on, a dancing girl move up and down in the street, and her anklets always create a sound, and I would not able to, after listening the sound, I would not able to keep my eyes or my mind, means I would not able to concentrate on the wall I was building. So I got distracted, and that's why this wall couldn't be built properly. So we must look into it. It is not easy to judge such complicated cases. Let's get that dancer wherever she is. Now the king said, yes, as the case is getting complicated and it is not easy to judge such kind of cases, so we need to look into it once again, and let's get the dancer in the kingdom. The dancing girl, now an old woman, came trembling to the court. Now the dancing girl was an old woman, as it is an incident of years ago. So she came shivering into the kingdom. Did you walk up and down that street many years ago while this poor man was building a wall? Did you see him? Now the king asked the dancing girl whether she was moving in the lane many years ago when this poor man was building the wall in the lane, and did she had seen him? Yes, my lord, I remember it very well. The dancing girl said, yes, I remember the incident very well. So you did walk up and down with your anklets jingling. तो नाउ द किंग आस्क्ड कि इसका मतलब तुम मानती हो दैट यू आर मूविंग इन द लेन. यू वर young and you distracted him because you were a young girl at that time, so you distracted this man, so he built a bad wall, so he couldn't concentrate in his work and he built a bad wall. Fallen on a poor burglar and killed him. You have killed an innocent man and you'll have to be punished. Now the king informed the old dancing girl that as you were the reason for building that wall badly, and it had fallen on that poor thief and killed him, so you have to be blamed for this crime and you will be punished. She thought for a minute and said, my lord, wait, I know now why I was walking up and down that street. Now that poor dancing girl thought for a minute and she said, my lord, wait, before you announce your judgment, I know now why I was moving up and down in that street. I had given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry for me. I have given some gold to the jeweler to make some jewelry for me. He was a lazy scoundrel, लेकिन वो तो एक lazy person था. He made so many excuses. In spite of giving me my order on time, he made many excuses. Said he would give it now, he would give it then, and so on all day or every day the same excuse he was giving. He made me walk up and down to his house a dozen times, and he was the only reason that I had to move up and down in that lane again and again to get confirmed whether my order was ready or not. That was when this bricklayer saw me, और ये वो टाइम था when this bricklayer was building the wall and he saw me. It was not my fault, my lord, it is the damn goldsmith fault who made me to move in that street again and again. Poor thing, she is absolutely right, thought the king, weighing the evidence. Now as she has given a good reason, so he thought that she had given a strong evidence, और उस evidence के base पर he thought कि she is absolutely right. We have got the real culprit at last. Because the king was fool, तो he thought कि अभी real culprit तो now only they find, get the goldsmith where he is hiding at once, कि लेकर आओ उसको जहाँ भी छुपा है. The king bailiffs होता है the law officers who make sure that the order of the king should be obeyed. They search for the goldsmith who was hiding in a corner of his shop when he heard the accusation against him. When he came to know that such kind of accusation, such kind of blame has been put against him, so he was hiding in his shop. He had his own story to tell, लेकिन उसके पास भी अपनी story थी बताने के लिए. My lord, he said, I am a poor goldsmith. It's true, I made this dancer come many times to my door. My lord, उसने क्या कहा कि I am a poor, मैं तो एक poor jeweler हूँ. It's true that I made this girl to come many times at my door. I gave her excuses, मैंने उसे excuses भी दिए, and I couldn't finish making her jewelry before I finished the rich merchant's order. But the reason why I couldn't prepare her jewelry on time was that I had to finish a merchant's order before that. That's why her order get delayed. They had a wedding coming, उनके घर में एक शादी थी, and they wouldn't wait. और वो तो वेट कर नहीं सकते थे. You know how impatient rich men are. You know that how impatient that rich people cannot wait. They do not have patience. So I had to finish his task first before getting ready this dancing girl's order. That's why her order got delayed. Who is this rich merchant who kept you from finishing the poor woman's jewelry, made her walk up and down, which distracted this bricklayer, which made a mess of his wall, and और उसने कहा अच्छा, टेल मी हु इज़ दैट मर्चेंट हु केप्ट यू फ्रॉम फिनिशिंग, इसका जो ऑर्डर तुम्हें डिले करने के लिए हु हैज़ फोर्स्ड, और बिकॉज ऑफ दैट यू मेड हर टू मूव अप एंड डाउन इन द स्ट्रीट एवरी डे, एंड विच डिस्ट्रैक्टेड द ब्रिकलेयर, और जिससे क्या हुआ, इट बिकेम अ मेस ऑफ द वॉल एंड fallen on an innocent man and killed him. Can you name him? That now the wall has killed the innocent man. Can you name the merchant? The goldsmith named the merchant, and he was none other than the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen. And who was this merchant? This was the same merchant whose house wall was fallen. Now justice had come full circle, thought the king, back to the merchant. Now it again came into a circle that the story had came to at that man only from whom it had started, when he was rudely summoned back to the court. Now again the merchant had been summoned, and this time the strong order has been passed for him. He arrived crying. Now the merchant arrived to the court, and he was crying, it wasn't me but my father who ordered the jewelry. And what he is explaining, that it was not me, it was my father who had given the order of that jewelry. He is dead, I am innocent. कि मेरे father तो मर गए हैं और मैं तो innocent हूँ. But the king consulted his minister and ruled decisively, it's true, your father is the true murderer. He is dead, but somebody must be punished in his place. You have inherited everything from that criminal father of yours, so his riches as well as his sins. I knew at once, even when I first set eyes on you, that you were at the root of this horrible crime. You must die. Then the king consulted his minister, and he came to that decision कि it's true that your father is the true criminal and he is dead, but as you have inherited all the riches of his, so you have inherited the sins also. Now you have to be punished for his crimes as well. I knew at once, वो कह रहा है कि मुझे तो पहले ही पता था, that you were the root of, कि आप हो इस horrible crime की root, and you must have to die now. A new stake to be made ready for the execution. Execution is the official killing of someone, and stake is the tool which will be sharpened to get it performed. So he ordered to be prepared this new tool to sharp this new to make a and sharpen new tool for the execution. As the servant sharpened the stake, they started preparing this tool and got it ready for the final impaling of the criminal, and they were getting it ready to kill the criminal. It occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was somehow too thin to be properly executed on the stake. It suddenly, when the tool was getting ready, when the servants were getting ready that tool, it suddenly came into the mind of the ministers that the merchant was too thin to be properly executed, to be properly killed on the stake. So he appealed to the king's common sense. ये उसकी, क्योंकि किंग इज़ द फूल, ही इज़ हैविंग दैट मच कॉमन सेंस ओनली, तो उसकी कॉमन सेंस को भी ये चीज़ अपील कर रही है. द किंग टू वरीड अबाउट इट. अब वो उसको भी चिंता हो गई कि येस, ही वुड नॉट बी प्रॉपरली पनिश्ड. सो व्हाट शैल वी डू, तो क्या होना चाहिए. ही सेड व्हेन सडनली इट स्ट्रक हिम दैट ऑल दे नीडेड टू डू was to find a man fat enough to fit the stake. So abhi now what kind of idea came into their mind? Foolish will show their foolishness always. So what the idea came to their mind, that उनको क्या चाहिए, they just wanted to find a fat man enough, who is enough to fit in the stake. The servants were immediately sent all over the town looking for a man, और servants को एकदम से भेज दिया गया कि ढूंढ कर लाओ एक इतना fat man who would be fit the stake. And their eyes fell on the disciple, और they got disciple who had fattened himself for months on, जो कि he was fattened enough who could be executed on that stake. और वो कैसे fattened हुआ, because for months he was eating on bananas, rice, wheat and ghee. तो वो बिल्कुल साइज में यूज़ हो चुका था. What have I done wrong? I am innocent, I am a sannyasi, he cried. Now when he had been brought to the place of execution, he said that what he was not able to understand that what wrong he has done, and he was crying that he was innocent and he was a sannyasi. That may be true, but it's the royal decree that we should find a man enough to fit the stake, man fat enough to fit the stake, they said, and carried him to the place of execution. The soldier said that yes, it is true that you have not done anything wrong, but it is the royal order that we should find a man who is fat enough to fit the stake. So they carried him to the place of execution. He remembered his wise guru's words. Now he is remembering the words of his gurus, that this city is fool. This is a city of fools, and you don't know what they will do next. While he was waiting for death, while he was waiting for his death at the place of execution, he prayed to his guru in his heart. वो अपने दिल में जो है अपने गुरु को याद कर रहा है. Asking him to hear his cry wherever he was, and he was asking his guru to listen to him wherever he was. The guru saw everything in a vision. अब गुरु जो है, he was having magic power, so he saw him. He could see far, he could see the future as he could see the present and the past. He was having magic power, he could see everything, so he arrived at once to save his disciple. तो गुरु जो है वो बिल्कुल immediately he arrived to save his disciple who had got himself into such a scrap होता है difficult situation through love of food, जिसने अपने आप को इस difficult situation में अपने food के love के लिए जो है he put himself into this situation. As soon as he arrived, he scolded the disciple. As soon as the guru arrived, first of all he scolded him, told him something in a whisper, then he said something into his ears. Then he went to the king, and then he went to the king and addressed, और उसने बोलना शुरू किया. O wisest of kings, who is greater, the guru or the disciple? अब उसने he asked a question from the king. First he praised him कि you are the wisest of kings. सब जितने भी राजा हैं उनमें से सबसे बुद्धिमान आप हो. यू जस्ट टेल मी हु इज ग्रेटर, गुरु और द डिसाइपल. ऑफ कोर्स द गुरु, नो डाउट अबाउट इट. व्हाई डू यू आस्क? नाउ द किंग इमीडिएटली आंसर्ड दैट ऑफ कोर्स द गुरु इज ग्रेटर. व्हाई डू यू आस्क दिस? देन पुट मी टू द स्टेक फर्स्ट, पुट माई डिसाइपल टू डेथ आफ्टर मी. नाउ ही सेड इफ गुरु इज ग्रेटर देन डू मी अ फेवर, पुट मी फर्स्ट, गिव दिस डेथ पेनल्टी टू मी फर्स्ट एंड देन टू माई डिसाइपल. When the disciple heard this, he understood and began to clamor, me first, you brought me here first, put me to death first, not him. When the disciple heard this, that the guru was asking him to give that punishment, death punishment, so he understood the wisdom that he is doing this thing to save him. So he began to clamor, he began to cry that give this death sentence to me first, and put me, you have brought me first here at the place of execution, so first you have to give this death penalty to me. The guru and the disciple now got into a fight. अब दोनों झगड़ा करने लगे about who should go first, that whom should be given this death penalty. The king was puzzled by this behavior. Now the king got puzzled. He asked the guru. Now he wanted to know the reason why they were fighting, why they wanted to both of them wanted to die first. Why do you want to die? Who chose him? We chose him because we needed a fat man for the stake. Now he asked the guru कि why do you want to die? क्योंकि हमने तुम्हारे disciple को इसलिए चुना है because we wanted a fat man who could be fit in this stake. You shouldn't ask me such questions. Put me to death first, replied the guru. गुरु ने क्या reply दी कि you should not ask me any question. मेरे से इस बारे में कुछ मत पूछो कि why I wanted to die first. Just give me the death penalty. Why there's some mystery here. As a wise man, you must make me understand. उसने कहा नहीं, यू हैव टू टेल मी. आई कैन सी दैट सम मिस्ट्री इज देयर, कुछ तो रीज़न है. सो एज अ वाइज मैन यू हैव टू फर्स्ट क्लियर मी वाई यू वॉन्टेड द डेथ पेनल्टी बिफोर योर डिसाइपल. विल यू प्रॉमिस टू पुट मी टू डेथ इफ आई टेल यू? आस्क द गुरु. नाउ द गुरु आस्क द किंग, इफ आई टेल यू दैट व्हाट इज द रीज़न, विल यू गिव मी द डेथ पनिशमेंट फर्स्ट एज आई हैव डिमांडेड? द किंग गेव हिम हिज सोलम वर्ड. The king promised to do so. The guru took him aside. अब गुरु जो है किंग को एक साइड पर ले जाते हैं out of the servant's earshot, so that the servant should not get the information and whisper to him. And then he told him everything in a very low voice. Do you know why we want to die right now, the two of us? Do you know that why we both are demanding the death penalty right now? We have been all over the world, but we have never found a city like this or the king like you. Now the Guru was explaining that me and my disciple both have roamed in the world. हम सब जगह गए हैं, but we have never found such a beautiful city and such a wise king like you. That stake is the stake of the God of justice, and the stake which you are going to use to punish this the criminal or the person for that punishment, that stake is actually the stake of the God of justice. It's new, ये बिल्कुल न्यू है. It has never had a criminal on it before. This stake has not been used to punish any criminal. So whoever dies on it first, तो जो भी इस जिसके लिए भी जिससे भी किल करने के लिए फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम दिस स्टेक हैज़ बिन यूज्ड विल बी रीबोर्न एज द किंग ऑफ द कंट्री. वो पर्सन जो है वो रीबोर्न होगा एज द किंग ऑफ दिस कंट्री, एंड हुएवर गोज नेक्स्ट विल बी द फ्यूचर मिनिस्टर ऑफ दिस कंट्री. और जो नेक्स्ट इससे डाई होगा दैट विल बी द मिनिस्टर, फ्यूचर मिनिस्टर ऑफ दिस कंट्री. वी आर सिक ऑफ आर एस्थेटिक लाइफ, और हम अपनी इस सेंट वाली लाइफ से बोर हो चुके हैं. इट वुड बी नाइस टू इन्जॉय आवर सेल्फ एज किंग एंड मिनिस्टर फॉर अ वाइल. तो नेक्स्ट बर्थ जो है वी वॉन्टेड टू बी एज अ किंग एंड मिनिस्टर. नाउ कीप योर वर्ड्स, और अब तुम अपना प्रॉमिस निभाओ माई लॉर्ड एंड पुट अस टू डेथ. अब हमें डेथ पेनल्टी दो. मी फर्स्ट रिमेंबर, और सबसे पहले तुमने किसे डेथ पेनल्टी देनी? मुझे. द किंग वॉज नाउ थ्रोन इन टू डीप थॉट. नाउ द किंग स्टार्टेड थिंकिंग डीपली. He didn't want to lose his kingdom to someone else in the next round of life. Even for the next birth, he didn't want to lose his kingdom. He wanted to be the king of this kingdom even in his next life. So he needed time. तो उसको सोचने के लिए टाइम चाहिए था. So he ordered the execution postponed to the next day. तो उसने ऑर्डर क्या दिए? That the execution will be done next day. And talked in secret with his minister, and then he discussed this matter with his minister. It's not right for us to give over the kingdom to others in the next life. कि it is not correct कि हम अपना kingdom next life में किसी और को hand over कर दें. Let's go on the stake ourselves and will be reborn as king and ministers again. कि चलो इस if it is so that whosoever will be killed first and second by the stake, they are going to be reborn as king and minister, then why don't we took this punishment? हम क्यों नहीं लेकर let us be reborn as the king and minister. holy man do not tell lies. जो सेंट गुरुज होते हैं वो कभी झूठ नहीं बोलते. said and the minister agreed. और वो एग्री कर गए. so he told the executioners, will send the criminals tonight. when the first man comes to you, put him to death first, then do the same to the second man. those are my orders, don't make any mistake. और फिर उन्होंने executioners को, the people who were supposed to give this punishment, उनको क्या ऑर्डर दिए कि वी आर सेंडिंग द क्रिमिनल्स टू नाइट ओनली. आज ही रात को हम भेज रहे हैं. द फर्स्ट मैन कम्स टू यू, उसे तुमने फर्स्ट यू विल पुट हिम फॉर द डेथ पेनल्टी, और जो सेकंड मैन आएगा उसे तुमने उसी सेकंड ऑर्डर में डेथ पेनल्टी देनी है. एंड डोंट मेक एनी मिस्टेक. दैट नाइट द किंग एंड हिज मिनिस्टर्स वेंट सीक्रेटली टू द प्रिजन. और उस रात वो मिनिस्टर और किंग जो है सीक्रेटली दे वेंट इन द प्रिजन. रिलीज द गुरु एंड डिसाइपल. उन्होंने वहाँ से गुरु और डिसाइपल को रिलीज़ कर दिया. डिस्गाइज देमसेल्फ एज द टू. और उन्होंने अपने आप को डिस्गाइज कर लिया, यानी कि दे हैव प्रिटेंडेड देमसेल्व्स टू बी द गुरु एंड द डिसाइपल, एंड एज अरेंज्ड बिफोर हैंड विद लॉयल सर्वेंट्स वर टेकन टू द स्टेक एंड प्रॉम्प्टली एग्जीक्यूटेड. और बिल्कुल लॉयल सर्वेंट जो हैं who has the order to perform the execution, they taken the king and the minister who were disguised as the guru and the disciple, and they were taken to the stake and promptly executed. और उनको execute कर दिया गया. they were given the death penalty. when the bodies were taken down to be thrown to crows and vultures, the people panicked. when now the king and the ministers were died, now the bodies has been taken to throw for the crows and vultures. But when the people saw those dead bodies, they got panicked, they got scared. They saw before them the dead bodies of the king and the minister. They recognized that the death penalty was taken by the king and the minister. The city was in confusion. अब सब confused हो गए कि who will be the king and minister now, who will rule the kingdom. All night they mourned होता है to cry in pain. So पूरी रात जो है दे mourn and discuss the future of the kingdom. They were discussing who will rule the country now. Some people suddenly thought of the guru and the disciple. कुछ लोगों के माइंड में जो है came that guru and disciple and caught up with them, और उन्होंने उन्हें पकड़ लिया and they were preparing to leave town unnoticed. But what the guru and the disciple were doing at that time, they were just trying to leave the country without being noticed in the by the people of the kingdom. We people need a king and minister. और जब उन्हें पकड़ लिया गया तो that people told the guru and the disciple that they need a king, a new king and a new minister. Said someone, किसी ने उस भीड़ में से कहा. Others agreed, और दूसरे भी agree हो रहे थे कि yes, we need a king and minister now to rule over our kingdom. They begged the guru and the disciple to be their king and their minister. Now those people begged, they requested the guru and the disciple to be the next king and the minister of their country. It didn't take many arguments to pursue the disciple. अब disciple को तो agree करने के लिए to he was immediately ready to be the minister. उसको ready करने के लिए to perform the duties of minister they need not to do any efforts. But it took longer to pursue the guru. लेकिन गुरु को मनाने के लिए they have to do a long discussion. They finally agreed to rule the kingdom of the foolish king and the silly minister on the condition that they could change all the old law. अब जो गुरु है वो फाइनली एग्री हुए, गुरु एंड डिसाइपल देन बोथ फाइनली एग्रीड टू रूल दिस किंगडम ऑफ फुलिश किंग एंड सिली मिनिस्टर्स ऑन वन कंडीशन कि whatsoever rules were made by the old king or the minister, whatsoever old laws, rules of this kingdom are, they would be changed. From then on, night would again be night and day would again be day. And people agreed that they could change the law, the rules, and then from then only the night would be night again. They again interchange the night and day, means the work which were supposed to do at night time they would be done at night, and the work which were supposed to do at daytime they would be done at daytime, and you could get nothing for a radu. And it was also told to the people that they will not, means the things will not be at the same cost. They need to differentiate according to the quantity, the cost of the thing will be there. It became like any other place, और ये बिल्कुल वहाँ का kingdom जो है बिल्कुल उसी तरह से फंक्शन करना शुरू किया जैसे कि कोई भी अदर प्लेस होगा. ठीक है, so this was our story. What we have learned from the story, that the company of the foolish people can be harmful for us, and only wise people can deal with them with their wisdom, and we should take our decision wisely with the rational thinking, by thinking over all the pros and cons, right? And foolish decision or the decision which are taken without thinking or quick decisions can be harmful or can be put us in a difficult situation like the disciple. So I hope you have enjoyed the story and understood it. This was for today. I will see you in my next class. Bye everyone.